So now you guys have your little guns, and you have the gunsmith back at the camp, so you can decide what you want to do at this point. Like I said, there are side quests, and you can also continue the main quest line, or you can go and try and figure out if you can find some more fuckery to get into.
Okay, let's do a fuckery.
Does anybody have a specific idea on the fuckery that they want to do? Because if not, Saira's got some plans.
Sure, lay it on us.
A couple things that she wants to do is the first of which she wants to see if anybody has a line on materials, because problem with getting an army is outfitting them. And now that we have a forge, I can start making magical items.
Alright, well, there's a few different areas around you that are able to give you things. You have some stuff that you might be able to get from the shore to the south. There are some fishing villages and stuff like that down there that might be able to get you some supplies. But the big one is going to be to the east, which is Dragonsteel Quarry, because that is where all the Dragonsteel is mined for the Black Scale Army. So if you were able to gain control of that, you would pretty much have unlimited resources.
Is there anything liberation-wise that we could do? Like towns or things that we could find along the way that could help us in that regard?
Well, you have a couple of spots that you've already sort of liberated, because you have the Frogkin village, you have the Elven village where Velmos went that is aligned with you now. You also have some other NPCs that you have picked up. The other problem that you're having is that a lot of the stuff that's to the north along the border with the Elven Forest is not in good condition, because the dragon that was released has been patrolling up and down the border endlessly since it first flew away from Dragonsteel Quarry, making sure that nothing crosses it.
So I think the primary thing here is I want materials so I could practice my forging, but there's also the fact that we need bodies between us and certain death.
The materials, there are some materials that are going to be shipped to you because Fernando does have some contacts, so he sent out a messenger raven to them, so they're going to be delivering some of his supplies to the camp as opposed to where he was before. So he'll be getting plenty of supplies in order to keep making you guys ammunition and anything like that you might want. You have Broken Spear, which is basically kind of like a derelict battlefield that is also around the southern area. It's kind of a sort of an old military town, but at the same time, it's been the place of a lot of battles over the years.
I think Broken Spear sounds like the perfect place for refugees, for materials, for undead, for fueling the army and fueling the everything that I don't want to do, which is everything.
Alright, well, if you guys want to go there, it's going to be probably about a week's worth of travel time. But you can. You have all the supplies and stuff that you need, so you guys can go there if you wish.
I'm down.
So all three of you guys are going to travel to Broken Spear. Let me just roll to see if you come into contact with anything. 4. Okay, let's take a look at the side quest screen. You guys are traveling through the desert. As you're going along your way, you wind up coming across what looks like an old lady who's she's just walking through the desert. It's strange. There's nothing around. There's just an old hag in like a shawl, basically, just kind of shuffling along.
Ignore the stray guy to ignore her. Just keep going. Don't trust her.
As you start to ride by, she reaches out specifically to Uhtred and beckons him to come closer so that she can speak with him.
Nope.
Saira's gonna pull up short, specifically. Well, I think this looks like a you thing, Uhtred. She looks like she wants to speak to you.
Strega always wants to speak to the priest. Not today, Satan.
Please, young man, you look like a holy man. I need your help.
She does seem to want to talk to you.
So yeah, she beckons specifically to Uhtred for help. She doesn't really pay that much attention to the other two.
6 feet away, old woman. What is thy need?
I make a trek every year to my husband's grave to deposit dragon lilies on top of it. They were his favorites. But I'm getting older now. I could use some help along the way, if you don't mind.
To deliver flowers.
To deliver flowers, yes.
Go on, Uhtred. Deliver her.
Isn't that what your religion?
Just the frog and her just fist bump. Both talking shit at the same time.
They've never even read the book. They would just read it. They would see it's all nonsense, what they're saying.
Oh, so he admits that his religion's nonsense.
Yes, I've read some nonsense, and it was that book.
Just read one page, and you'll see what I'm coming from.
So, Uhtred, are you going to leave this poor soul to her
Hot demise.
I'm gonna eat that frog.
Are you gonna ride past?
No, he's not gonna ride past her. He's just gonna be like, lead the way. He's not gonna let her on his griffin, though. I don't trust this bitch.
So she's gonna shuffle along very slowly next to your griffin with no foreseeable end in sight. So I'm gonna roll to see how many hours it winds up taking her to reach the area where she says her husband's grave is. I hate you, Cham. Okay, this is what happens. So as you're walking along, the griffin, having, just decides it wants to stretch its wings out a little bit. And as it does, it accidentally bumps the old lady and she falls over into the sand. And she starts screaming, "Help, I'm falling and I can't get up!"
Quick, get life alerts!
Quick, somebody invent and then call Life Alert.
Oh, get me a cognac. So she gets herself back up after a minute and begins shuffling along again. So after a little while, you reach what looks like a very, very rundown old cemetery. It's in the desert, so a lot of the headstones have been worn away, but in the very, very back of this little cemetery that's it has like a wrought iron gate that like stretches around it a little bit. In the very back is a massive stone spire that sticks up. It looks almost like a mausoleum, but it's actually a grave marker. She walks up to that and kneels down in front of it and places a bouquet of dragon lilies in front of it, basically. She puts the flowers down in front of it and begins speaking to the grave.
There you go, my dear. I do remember our anniversary even after 1,200 years.
She then turns around to the rest of you.
Thank you for bringing me here. I was so worried that maybe somebody would attack me on the road, but this was more of a test, and unfortunately, you did not pass said test.
1,200 years, that's
I told
amazing.
you she was a witch.
No, I'm not a witch.
She then transforms into a silver dragon.
Shape-shifting, see? Witch.
Listen, you and your fucking book need to go somewhere.
I am a dragon. I am not a witch. We dragons can change shape, or at least dragons of wisdom.
I'm gonna start speaking in Draconic.
It also speaks English, you don't need to.
Yeah, but I don't want Uhtred to listen in because he's a fucking asshole.
Fair enough.
I'm
Proceed.
gonna say, apologize for holy man's assholeness.
Roll for... It would be diplomacy, because you're trying to negotiate, basically. Or you're trying to appease the dragon. You still got a 16. So the dragon does not take your apology very well. She more or less wants an apology directly from Uhtred for knocking her to the ground.
I beg your pardon. I did no such thing.
The griffin is an extension of you.
Griffin is got wings and she was stretching them out and you were acting like an old woman and testing us for absolutely no reason at all.
I'm going to try to apologize again. But this time I'm going to have Ariel with me, like, in Draconic, like, I love dragons. Please accept our apology.
So what you're going to have to do, Cham, is roll again for your diplomacy, but you're going to get an additional +2 because of the amethyst dragon. As you bring out your little purple dragon, she looks up at the big silver dragon with, like, extremely puppy dog eyes because she realizes what you're doing. And the silver dragon then can't help itself and says, "Okay, I won't kill you all."
I was going to say thank you. I'm going to get you on my dragon.
The silver dragon reaches out its claw and very, very daintily taps your crystal dragon on the nose with it. As she does, the crystal dragon's wings begin to perk up and they actually flow out, so the dragon is now able to fly. She says, "Thank you for escorting her, even though Uhtred is kind of a dick," and she then bids you goodbye and flies away.
Oh, well, if you just asked next time, we could have told you he was a prick.
It was supposed to be a test on morality. Oh yeah, he is a paladin. He kind of has to have him.
See, Tura knew that bitch was a witch. That's why she knocked that old cunt on her ass, didn't she?
All right, so you guys have completed that little side thing. So after another 3 or 4 days of traveling, you then proceed to reach Broken Spear. Now, Broken Spear it's a stretch of desert. There's a few old military outposts that are out there that some of them have been destroyed from the Black Scale War, and some of them are still kind of functioning. You don't know if they're just being houses for refugees or not, but there is no military necessarily left from the old Valdirian Empire that used to own part of the continent. The rest of the area is scattered with weapons and armor and skeletons from the various battles that have taken place over the landscape, which is why it's called Broken Spear.
I'm gonna lean over to Saira like, he's such an asshole.
Right? Why are we friends with him? What a prick! Listen here, Tank. Do me a favor. Look to your right and fire that shoulder thing.
It's not long enough for him to do that, so as he turns to the right, it just keeps clanking against his head. So you guys are there now, so you can decide if you want to try and investigate some of the buildings, or if you want to inspect the landscape or do anything. It's up to you.
So I'd like to search the buildings.
Sure,
Okay.
I'll do a search roll.
You guys can both do search, or all of you can do search checks if you'd like.
Oh no. Maybe Uhtred shouldn't, just in case there's a witch somewhere.
I wasn't wrong.
So, Uhtred, do you want to search to the buildings with the other guys, or are you going to just go bless the battlefield? Cham, you rolled a 23. Saira rolled a 12. The 23, so basically, Cham, what you do is there's two little complexes of buildings. One of them is kind of basically arranged in a square in like a defensive position. It's an old kind of forty type of structure, but it's small. It's like basically like a barracks. You look around inside, you see what appears to be a lot of dust-covered old armaments and weapons. There are some skeletons that are inside, but the first complex anyway, the little fort area, looks like it's basically deserted. Then you go over to another small area, and it's kind of just like a cluster of like shacks and buildings and things like that. A lot of makeshift structures, it looks like. Roll a listen check. All right, so you rolled the 9. So you hear what sounds like some scurrying around. It could be people. It could be animals. You're not 100% sure.
I'm gonna move silently further in.
Roll for that. All right, you do move silently, successfully further into the camp. You're basically kind of keeping to the shadows of the buildings and stuff like that, and moving very, very daintily through. If there is anything there, then it doesn't notice you.
I'm gonna listen in one more time, see if I can hear anything else.
So this time you hear what sounds like voices coming from a few of the smaller buildings over to one side. You're not really sure what they're talking about, but it sounds like whispering. It doesn't sound like animal noise.
What time of day is it?
It is midday. It's like noon.
I'm gonna move silently closer to the buildings, but I'm gonna stick to the shadows.
Yeah, roll a move silently check to get in position. Okay, you get in position very easily.
One more time to listen and see what the fuck's going on.
All right, you're close enough now where you don't really need too much of a listen check. So basically what happens is you kind of, you get to the building where you heard the whispering from, and you kind of lean up against what is like a kind of like an opened window. And you start listening in, and you start hearing people talking inside. It sounds like they're adults. It doesn't sound like children. And they appear to be talking about some kind of geographic location. So as you're listening to them, they're talking about this place called Spyglass Point. And they're saying that they have to leave and get back there very shortly.
Is there any window that I can peer through?
The one that you're right next to, you can peer through. The one you're listening through.
All right, I'm gonna peer through. I want to identify what kind of thing is talking.
So you look inside and you see what appears to be two guys in kind of tannish robes almost, and they're looking over a map inside of this little structure. They do have swords, and it does appear that they also have two horses that are inside the building with them as well. You think that they may be scouts, but they're definitely not from the Black Scales. They are human.
I'm going to sneak in. The ceiling, not the roof, but the ceiling.
Okay, that's still going to be another move silently. Yeah, so you jump up to the ceiling very quickly, kind of like a Spider-Man type thing, and you're just clinging up there to like a ceiling beam as you listen in. They do not notice you.
Do I see the map?
You do see the map. I'm not going to make you roll to view the map because you're directly above it. So,
well, I'm going to draw out the entire map, right? Like draw.
Okay, that's going to be a dexterity roll because you're going to be copying it down. You got to be semi-exact. So we'll see how good you do for the drawing. All right, that's enough. So you draw basically an accurate interpretation of the map. The map itself looks like it lays out some areas to the north and east of Broken Spear. It highlights Spyglass Point with a nice big star over it. And it also points out to Camp Fang and to Sea Serpent Harbor, which is down to the south. There's a few different areas that it has marked, but you're not necessarily sure what the markings mean. They're just kind of highlighted and circled.
the fuck out of there.
All right, that's another move silently check to get out. Okay, that's enough. So you are able to get out of the building without them noticing you, and you're able to return to the others. I'm assuming you relay all this information?
I do. I'm pointing out the diary, the map.
All right, so Raka and Arch, he relays that information to you guys.
All right. Are we gonna go deal with this problem? What did you figure out where they're from? What are they doing?
I'm gonna look at him like, really? I was gonna tell him we should just follow.
I mean,
Like,
you know what else is a good idea? Interrogation.
I'm gonna tell him, like, not everything needs to be interrogated.
I disagree. Full
I
sail.
disagree, but it doesn't need to.
All right, so Uhtred and Saira want to go interrogate. So they are still in that building, and they are not aware of your presence as of the moment.
Fuck it, I'm just gonna make my way in there.
All right, so you guys are just going to walk right the fuck in?
I am. I'm gonna prepare a spell to cast if they pull their swords, though.
Okay, what's the spell?
Command Greater.
Uhtred, I'm assuming you're also going to march in with them?
Not right away. I am actually going to cast Divine Favor.
So you do that before you follow them in. So all you guys enter into the room. So you guys just barge right into the building. One of them immediately folds up the map that they were looking at, and the other one immediately pulls out a sword and backs away, saying that they don't want trouble. They just want to pick up some supplies.
What supplies?
Okay, look. This entire building, this entire area, used to be a military outpost. We need weapons. So we came here to look for weapons.
Weapons for what?
Have you ever heard of the Maripole?
Pretend that I have.
Nomadic tribe, used to kind of roam around a lot of the desert areas in the eastern part of the Fire Sand Wastes. Unfortunately, the Dragonstales killed most of us. There's a few small groups that are remaining, but they're rapidly getting wiped out. So unfortunately, we need as many arms as possible, and we have to go meet them very soon.
All right. I tell you what. Sure. I'm game to help. We are
Rick?
not
Really?
friends of the Black Scales, and if we can get any allies on our side, it'd be a great boon to us.
Oh, thank
I'd
God.
have to confer with my companions, the cunt and the wet one.
I'm gonna lean in and goes, which one's the wet one?
I'll leave that up to their imagination.
I would probably be the cunt.
Oh, you don't fucking say, mister. I'm not going to help a dragon.
No, I said I'm not going to help an old lady who's obviously playing tricks on me. And I wasn't fucking wrong.
Oh, he's gonna fight that battle until he dies.
After he kind of gets a vibe from you that it's obvious you're not with the Black Scales and you're not like trying to kill them or hunt them down as mercenaries, he gives you the map and says that you guys are supposed to meet at Spyglass Point. There's two other groups that are going to be coming from Cape Fang and from Sea Serpent Harbor with other supplies to give to the camp. The current camp is under Spyglass Point. Now, Spyglass Point is a very well-known landmark in the Fire Sand Wastes. All of you guys, your characters, know about it. It's basically an area where a lot of people will camp because it's a giant rock that is jutting out of the base of the desert, and it has an overhang which gives a lot of shade. So a lot of people who are traveling through the desert will stop there because it's a way to get out of the sun.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
So he also says that they have gathered a good amount of the weapons, but they still wanted to search the battlefield a little bit more. Maybe they need some more. They definitely need some more pole arms if there's any that are out there.
Do I by chance still have anything in my bag of holding from that I might have kept?
When you guys were doing your various little side quests there, you were looting most of those corpses, the dragon scale corpses, and all of those had swords or hammers on them, which I'm assuming you just stuffed into your fucking bag. So you do have a decent supply. So do you want to pull that out?
Look at here, I got one.
So basically, what they do is you pull out your bag of holding and you turn it upside down and just sort of like shake it. And as you start shaking it, first a dagger comes out, then a short sword, then a bastard sword, then like the head of a hammer pops out and just like lands on the floor. He's like, oh, well, yeah, we'll take those if you're offering.
Come on, we need to go. Want to stay here any longer?
All right, so they are going to lead you to Spyglass Point. Now, my only question is, do you guys want to do anything else before you leave Broken Spear?
I want to look for corpses.
Okay, you can go out and do a search check to see if you can find corpses. Most of them are going to be skeletal.
Hey, cunt with the bird, could you mind helping me for a moment in looking from on high while I look down here? I'm trying to find dead things.
Sure, no problem. Here, hold this. And he's going to hand you one of his Bibles, but it's going to be open. On the one page with text.
What's all the other pages? Just dick drawings?
No, they're all blank.
I'm sorry, darling, I don't read moon runes, but thank you for the toilet paper. Could I get a translation for this?
Don't fuck your sister or kids or animals. This shouldn't have to be said, but some of you made it necessary. You know who you are. So you're gonna help him finding undead things?
Yeah.
So you guys both get on top of the griffin. It's a little bit more load than she's used to normally, but she can adapt. So you guys are going to go up on the griffin. So as you are up high, both of you roll a search check.
It's a 21.
Oh. Okay, 15, that's still not bad. All right, so as you guys are looking over, you see what appears to be a couple of spots where it looks like after a battle, they piled the bodies. So all the bodies are still skeletal, but it does appear that they all are still wearing most of their armor and their tunics and stuff like that. They've just like decayed to the point where they're all skeletal.
Saira is salivating.
All right, you guys go down to the pile of bodies.
And she's going to ritual cast the animate dead.
I'm going to roll a d20 to see how many bodies are in the pile. All right, so the pile itself has 50 bodies. I'm going to say that 40 out of those 50 bodies are salvageable.
She can cobble together anything that isn't. Because she wants to take material just as much, like, gather it into the other bodies.
Okay, I will say in that case then, out of the remaining 10 partially constructed bodies, there's enough to form about 5 bodies more, so you get a total of 45. You lose 5 bodies.
That's fine by me.
You have 45 skeleton soldiers, which, again, they do have, except for the 5 cobbled ones at the end, they do all still have most of their armor on. They just need weapons.
You can, we'll figure out something to give you, my bony friends. But for now, let's away. We have some wandering tribesmen to deal with.
The front skeleton arranges the other skeletons in a military formation for marching and proceeds to give you a salute. However, he gives you the salute a little too hard and accidentally knocks his own head off. He then proceeds to go grab his head and put it back on. However, he puts it on backwards.
Saira is glowing. I literally love this.